How do you handle religion in your sci-fi games? To paraphrase one of my favourite sci-fi creators, religion has been important for thousands of years on Earth, and will probably continue to be important even as humanity spreads into the stars. The same will be likely true for alien races, who will have their own religious beliefs that aren't likely to fall by the wayside so quickly. So what's religion like in your sci-fi games? An old superstition? An important factor of people's lives? Just doesn't come up at all.
I feel like religion is one of those things where people need some form of higher something,
deity,
not even a higher being or deity. They need goals or like a good concept.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we've seen this definitely with the rise of atheism. I definitely think it's also been equally a rise of extremist ideologies that have cropped up, or at least are becoming more and more popular because people are treating religion for an ideology.
Yeah.
If that makes any weird sense. So I feel like even if humans were to completely leave religion and move on to something else, they would only be moving on to something else. They can't just set everything down. They have to have some form of creed or code or
to go by.
A moral standard.
Yeah.
There has to be something. I feel like the idea of completely even in Star Trek, you know, they've still got the prime derivative and all that. Well, prime derivative is a bit different. It's more of a protocol. But it is still very important
like
in the Star Wars
universe.
The Star Trek universe.
Hundreds of thousands of years, we do venture out into the stars and we do make contact with alien life, and they teach us the ways of the universe and how it was made. You know, people are still going to question it.
Oh yeah,
there still will be people question it.
I think we're not meant to know such things.
I think the major problem religion has in a modern and future context is that religion has been unable to come up with new ideas about how the world works. Back in the day, religion existed to explain away all the major concerns of its day. Not just where the world comes from and where we go, where we die, but where legitimate power comes from and what values we should use to govern our lives. The problem religion has is that society has changed and religion hasn't caught up with it. They'll moderate their positions to keep people in pews, but they aren't going to try and reconcile God with democracy and nuclear weapons. I think this is why we're seeing the rise of conspiracy cults, in the absence of a central church authority to answer questions like, what should our healthcare policy be in the age of the coronavirus? And the wrong guy won the election. What do we do? People instead look for supernatural answers to life's problems on the internet instead. I think it's the same impulse people had in the Middle Ages, but the church as an institution is unable to state that impulses like they used to. And these kinds of people aren't going to look for their answers from the rational sources, like doctors and scientists, because they won't go give them the supernatural life-affirming answers you're looking for. Like the experts aren't going to tell you that the world's secretly controlled by Satanists.
Hold up there.
Oh, wait, hold
up there.
But if you do these 12 simple steps, then all the paedophiles will be executed, and all will be good in the world. TLDR. I think mainstream religion will slowly be replaced by various cults that have more of a supernatural and conspiratorial bent than a mainstream religious one.
I think, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think we're definitely in that order. We're definitely moving in that direction. I think we are moving away from more organized religion into more individualistic.
Yeah.
And I suppose I think this is more of a byproduct with the internet, with mass communication. Like, you know, you can't let the peasants all talk to each other and communicate. And this is where you do get a lot of things that just spiral.
Yeah, once people find out that they can write anything on the internet.
Yeah.
That's when shit all went downhill.
Well, it was, I don't know, I don't think it was always that way.
From 2012 on.
Yeah, 2012 on. The guys with the smartphone definitely didn't do anyone any favours.
Any thought, especially Twitter, any thought that anybody had in their head, they could just simply put it out in a tweet.
Twitter has been a disaster for mankind and Islamifications, wherever the Ted Kaczynski quote is.
People are wired to want simple, easy to understand answers, even if they're not factually true. The modern world is flooded with too much information, the explanations are too complex, and the topics are too nuanced. So people are retreating from the pursuit of truth into easy messaging. This takes many forms. Identity politics is one of them. I don't have to think, I just need to follow the party I picked 2 political upheavals ago, and everyone else is the enemy. And conspiracy theories are another. The real world is full of a bunch of conflicting bullshit that requires actual book learning to phrase the real historical meaning of. It sure is easier to just blame the Jews for everything, even if that makes no fucking sense.
Well, I suppose that answers like more of in like what's going on today.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really talk much about how we're going to deal with this in the future.
Yeah.
I think the internet is our version of the printing press.
Yeah.
And like, you know, with the rise of the printing press, you did see the Protestant Reformations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I just feel like this century is going to be, if not, well, the only thing stopping it from being worse from the previous century is nuclear deterrent.
Yeah.
That's honestly, I feel like we've got ourselves into such a fucking mess, and I see no clear way to get out of. There was a good quote from Nikita Khrushchev, and he was talking to John F. Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and one of the letters that he sent him at the time was, think of this as like a knot on a loop, and both sides are pulling on that knot. At one point, there'll be no way to undo that knot, yeah. And the only way to do it will be to cut it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I feel like at the minute, and especially like, you know, places like the media and stuff is not helping in that matter. If not, people are getting more and more divided. Like, I feel like I'm okay with saying this shit because like Northern Ireland's already had its civil war. Yeah. You talk to anyone in the Balkans, they've had their civil war. We don't, like, you know, we've been through that for the most part. Americans, you guys are just ramping up for that. I don't think it will get to that point, but who knows?
Who knows?
That's the real question, and
people are only getting more and more divided as the years go on.
Yeah.
Not even years, months apparently.
It's not even months, it's days.
Yeah.
It's a 24-hour news cycle is definitely not helping anyone's mental health.
No.
And this is also, I think you definitely saw this with the pandemic and whatnot, with the lockdowns. It's the people on the fringes that crack first. Yeah. You need to be watching the people on the fringes, because they're the ones that are going to crack under the amount of social pressure the fastest. And then it's slowly getting more and more into everyday, for lack of a better word, the normies. Mm-hmm.
Like, look at how divided everybody is at the minute. And you see, I see countless videos and posts and whatever on everybody's divided if from the people who took the vaccine and people who didn't.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a war between them.
Yeah, it's night and day, so it is. It's night and day.
Personally, as an atheist, I find depictions of genuine faith fascinating. Like, for instance, I think it's fascinating watching Daredevil struggle to reconcile his Catholicism with his life as a vigilante. He genuinely believes that if he kills someone, he's going to hell. Therefore, under absolutely no condition is allowed to kill someone, as it's a one-way ticket to hell. Meaning in all fights he has to hold himself back and has to let a guy beat the shit out of him, if the alternative is killing the guy. I think, though, what I find interesting is someone like Matt Murdock is ideologically consistent on his faith. He genuinely believes in the religion. Part of that genuine belief is the genuine belief killing will land him in hell. And it's an incredible inconvenient part of his belief he struggles to reconcile. And unfortunately, a lot of religious people on the street I've met haven't seriously thought through the first thing about their faith. I met one millennial street preacher who was trying to recruit students for a Bible club tell me that I'm actually incredibly religious because I've thought through all this stuff despite being an atheist. Guy was very nice and I enjoyed talking to him, but it was clear that it was the first time I'd ever heard an atheist perspective on religion.
You know, that is one of the more fascinating ones. I think people don't actually spend the time to think about the doctrines and the beliefs and all that. One thing for me I definitely buy into is, I said to Megan about this earlier actually, it was about Buddhists with this self-immolation, the way that they protest. You're never going to see any other religion do. No, okay, well, first of all, committing suicide is it's against religion to still seen as an act of killing. Yeah. But for them to self-immolate, to set themselves on fire, and to then also be able to keep themselves on fire and be able to just sit there, that level of faith and devotion I consider next level. I think that's possibly why I really enjoy playing clerics and paladins though. I myself am not religious. However, I do find something about faith oddly fascinating, and I can't quite put my finger on it. Now, of course, all the religious people are going to be like, well, your faith is X, Y, and Z. Like, you still have a form of, like, everyone has a form of faith, but it's just in a different way, or it's being channeled in a different direction. Yeah. It's a really fascinating one, and I don't think there's genuinely a good, like, we're humans, we're not supposed to find out these sort of answers.
No.
We just aren't. But it is interesting the way people
put so much of their trust,
It is faith, yeah.
It is faith.
Yeah.
Hey guys, do you like models in your tabletop role-playing games? 'Cause we do too. Do you like having big bitty waifus on your table? 'Cause we do too. We got human biddies, we got lizard biddies, we got orc biddies, oni biddies, cat bussies. We've got everything you want at neckbeardia.co.uk.
Check the links down below, it helps us out a lot.
Sorry for interrupting the video, let's get on with the story. I was raised Irish Catholic, but at some point in my teenage years I became an atheist. I had my rah-rah religion always bad phase in high school, but eventually I grew up and came to realise that if not for religion, we'd just find some other reason to be dicks to one another. Religion isn't the cause. It's just a convenient excuse.
Please don't. No.
So these days, I try to live by the credo.
The credo? The heckin' credo?
I'm an atheist, not an asshole. If religion brings people comfort, I'm not going to deny them that. That's what I have always said. I don't believe and I don't practice, but if religion brings you comfort and if it
gives you a sense of community, it gives you a sense of belonging, it gives you a sense of what is right and what is wrong in the world. Who's
anybody to say to anybody else
if it's good for you, then
do that? You can't practice your faith. Nobody has that fucking right.
So therefore, if we were to look at this from a Christian point of view, does that mean that hardcore diehard atheists are literally the Antichrist?
Yeah.
Something like that, anyway.
Like you, I find genuine religious devotion to be interesting. On topic to the thread, something that helped me move from my edgy teenage atheist years was a sci-fi story I wrote in my early 20s, involving a bunch of alien bounty hunters crash landing on Earth while pursuing a bounty. One of them was from a species that I thought of as a religious fanatics. But when I actually wrote her, I found myself having a lot of fun with scenes where she was trying to reconcile her faith in God with her recent past. Basically, she had low-level PTSD from Space World War Space World War I, and the stuff that was happening to and around her on Earth.
It is fascinating, and I think it's something that a lot of people do go through in their lives.
Questioning their faith?
Well, do you mind if we talk about your granda?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
So, he died about a year ago, so he did. And one of the things, to give you a bit of context of him, he always had even for him back then, he always had a thing against the church.
He, whenever he was younger, his parents were dicks to him and ended up putting him into the Christian Brothers school. And the priests were horrible.
Yeah.
And he never liked priests.
Yeah.
Never liked priests. He was a father of 5 children and a wife, and my grandmother didn't work. She stayed at home raising the children. My grandfather was working 3 jobs at the time, and the priest came into the home and said, Eugene,
where's your money?
Why do you not come to church on a Sunday? Why are you not coming to mass?
When was this? Was this in the 50s, 60s?
No, this is in the 70s. Why are you not coming to mass? And he sat down in front of the priest and said, well, if you can pay me what I earn on a Sunday, then I'll come to mass. And he grabbed the priest by the scruff and threw him out the door.
Yeah.
And he was never a religious man. Never. As far as I knew, my grandmother, who was married to him for 64 years, never seen him as religious until after he died. Well, whenever he died, the coffin came to the house for the wake, and there was this massive cross on his coffin, and we all
completely out of character. We
all stood there in disbelief because my granda picked out his coffin and my grandmother's coffin years ago. It must have been about 15 years ago. He had that all planned out.
Yeah.
And we were all in shock, and he asked for his last rites to be read to him as well, which we were all surprised about. And after he passed, we were cleaning up his room and stuff, and we found all these books on the Catholic faith, and it must have been bought recently because my granda had bad eyesight, and one of the books was in big print text, and it was what is the Catholic faith, and there was another one, how to reconcile your faith and stuff like this that he had. The only thing religious that he ever had and he ever carried with him was the Sacred Heart of Jesus, in his wallet, because during World War II he was staying with his uncle in Belfast, and it was during the Blitz. Belfast got bombed and his uncle's house got bombed, and the only thing left standing was his bedroom, and the Sacred Heart of Jesus was on the door. He literally opened the door and the rest of the house was gone. He was standing in that room.
I don't know about you, but that type of experience would definitely make me. So I think for him, I think he hated the organisation.
Yeah.
But I do think he did have his own faith.
He did. We just never mustn't have seen it.
It's just that side.
We didn't see that side of his faith, and neither did my granny.
Yeah.
She, after he passed, she was questioning, did he even know my husband?
Yeah.
Because none of us expected that.
Yeah.
And then we were all laughing because my nanny has her faith. She prays nightly. She prays and has her rosaries and stuff. And we were all laughing, saying, well, Nanny, if he's picked that coffin out for you, what the hell is on your coffin? Like, the cross must have been the length and breadth of the coffin. It was massive.
It was pretty big. It was definitely out of character. But that's the way I view religion. I think, like, organized religion versus personal faith. That's where I believe we're going. I think that's the route religion has for all of us at this point in time.
I'm building one right now, based on a Stellaris run I had. Start as a corporate organisation specialised in science. Advance until reaching an anomaly in space. Begin to study it for understanding how valuable it is. Scientists manage to open a rift that lasts for a standard month. All those sucked in will experience great time dilation. All goes mad. CEO want to investigate this incident after a big galactical alliance question him and his society. CEO gets visions by being trapped with the maddening scientists after an error in the systems caused by some mysterious virus. CEO opens again the rift and enters it, disappearing for a few years, then reappearing changed. CEO converts his own corporate institution into a religious and scientific society. CEO shows psychic powers and makes extensions of himself through his most loyal employees/overseers. CEO influence grows as his psychic powers expand. Everyone calls him a god. He calls himself a mere herald. Everyone worships him as the enlightened.
He calls himself, no, I'm no god, I'm just a herald. I'm just God's messenger. No, it's okay, guys. Honestly, I do think something like that could, for me, the only ways I could see, like, maybe a sci-fi religion taking off is through colonists being isolated from Earth and being left to their own devices for, like, millennia. And maybe, like, you have a few wars.
Like,
maybe
basically what fucking happened on Earth. I'm not gonna lie.
maybe a few wars happen. Maybe a lot of information gets destroyed, and then, like, how we came to be. Yeah. And it's kind of like, whenever you read about, like, ancient Mesopotamia or something like that, like, there's really not much.
And, like, let's face it, the people who are going to colonize, like, a new world, aren't going to be the religious ones. Well, they're going to be the ones who go out and you want to go out into space and see other things.
Well, I don't know.
If they're maybe, on that,
maybe
they're
it
not
could be
going
like Puritans.
Well,
maybe
they're
like
not
the Puritans. That was a good. Like, they were the ones that left England in search for a place where they could practice their own faith.
But then if they don't talk about worldly religions, then it won't be.
I don't know. I think
upon.
I think you can format anything.
Or remembered.
I think you can form. I do think they just start as cults.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go back.
Most religion is cult.
It is cult. It's just the leader isn't dead yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it feels like an awful lot of the time.
Yeah.
You need the one thing about a cult is you need to have that one charismatic, hyper leader that everything kind of.
Which, in an extent, is the preacher.
Well, what religions can we say? Okay, so we can definitely say for pretty much all Abrahamic religions that there's been a messenger, be it Moses or Jesus or that other one that we can't talk about because it's YouTube. And I don't want to get beheaded or some shit, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's where we're going to end it. I don't think we really went into how to handle it in a sci-fi setting, though.
There wasn't much there about a sci-fi setting. I think most people were actually just replying about modern day religion and politics and religious politics. And stuff like that.
Yeah, it's all politics.
Everything's just all politics, guys.
I definitely, the one thing I do buy into, I do think we are in a major time of change, especially with the internet. I think the internet is our printing press, and I do believe the only reason why this century is probably not going to be as bad as the previous one is nuclear deterrent. I honestly do
But I
think
also
that.
see not this century, I see this decade from 2020 to 2030. I see a lot of things happening within this decade.
Yeah, I think we're definitely on a downward. I think
trajectory.
Well, this is what's interesting because so we've been on, for the Western world's been on upward trajectory, and more and more people have lost faith as we went up. Maybe if we're going down, maybe more people will find it again. Maybe because with stuff like the internet, with mass communication, with social media, people are, whether we're more connected than ever before.
If we stroll that far away from God, will we eventually come back?
I think so.
I think it's very similar to the whole pendulum swing of politics.
Yeah.
In the sense of, if it swings so far the other way, it's going to come back
just as hard.
Just as hard.
Yeah.
And if the goalposts move, the goalposts move because the pendulum swings that far away.
Yeah.
It's the same with religion, in the sense of, if we swing that far away from it, it's going to come back.
Yeah, I do definitely think the biggest thing will be, I think what people have lost the most is definitely a sense of community. And even when you think of this, right, as I said earlier, it's always mental crack first. Think of it like this. Maybe let's use furries as an example. Could you say furries is like almost like a form of religion? It is kind of cult-like to a certain extent.
It's culty.
And we've already said there's not much between cults and religions. It's just maybe it is. Maybe people are more and more isolated, and they want to go to church. They don't want to go to church for the godly purposes. They want to go to church to see their community. Would that be a fair way to put it? Maybe
could be.
I don't know. I really want to hear what you guys think about it. Try and be civil. I know we're talking about
be civil.
I know it's a religion, but honest to God, try and be respectful.
Try and be respectful. Everybody has a right to their own opinion in the comments.
Yeah.
And everybody has a right to believe what they want.
Yeah, exactly. So please, be civil for the love of God. If you find this one interesting, definitely subscribe. It helps us out to no end. We did touch on some touchy topics in this one, so definitely check out the website, because it is the best way to help us out. And look, you get models with big fat tits on them, so like, what the fuck are you garning about?
How far away from God do you want to strike?
Yeah, exactly. Like, God, like I already told you guys, we do indulgences now. You can buy our models and we'll forgive you your sins. Sweet, mate.
Yes, but as always, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time we post a video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!
All those moments will be lost in time.